Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on the pennies and shillings channel. Starting with coin collecting can seem a bit overwhelming at first, and it's easy to get lost in all the jargon or be swept away by the latest trends. The collecting of coins or numismatics can be an amazing pastime, and you do not need the island buying budget as many believe. True, there are very expensive coins out there, but that is not the only thing numismatics is about. It also includes the common coins and the everyday pocket change that are being used less and less in our modern cash-free society. Now in this video, I want to cover the most important points when embarking on coin collecting as a hobby. A sort of coin collecting 101, if you will. For many of these points, I had to pay dearly myself. As the old adage goes, only some of us can learn from other people's mistakes. The rest of us has to be the other people. Now, the list I'm about to provide is by no means complete, but it is the most important according to my knowledge or to my experience. Let me know in the comments if there are any points I have missed, and I may make a follow-up video on them. Okay, so here goes. Point number 1, learn as much as you can. Learning about numismatics and coins in general is crucial when you are new to the hobby or looking to invest a significant amount of money into collectible coins. Arm yourself with the knowledge first. This is part and parcel of what it means to be a numismatist. You'll hear and read quite a bit of jargon when coins are being discussed. So let's see how quickly we can go through the most common terms. Are you ready? Let's go. This is the obverse or front of the coin, also called heads, since it quite often bears the portrait of a monarch or a leader of the time. You might find the country's coat of arms used instead. The year of release is usually printed on the obverse, but not always. The reverse or tails is the back of the coin, typically bearing the denomination of the coin and often the issuing country. By the way, if you feel that the reverse should be the front of the coin, you're not alone. I've always thought that way myself. Now the edge is the side of the coin, either plain, reeded, lettered or decorated. The rim is the raised circular border around the design of the coin, the purpose being to protect the design when the coins are stacked. The features of the coin's design are sometimes also referred to as the devices of the coin. The inscription or legend is the principal writing on the coin, often in an arc below the rim. The mint mark is a small symbol or lettering that identifies where or how the coin was made. Not all coins have them though. Don't confuse the mint mark with the designer's initial, which is often just below the design. Now the relief refers to the parts of the design raised above the surface, and the fields is the flat, receded parts of the coin. When we talk about coin luster, that refers to the way in which an uncirculated or about uncirculated coin reflects light in what is often referred to as the cartwheel effect. Now the image you see here clearly shows the striations or parallel grooves which reflect light in a very particular way. These are the result of the huge pressures exerted on the planchet during the minting process. These lines are very delicate and are easily damaged by harsh and abrasive cleaning techniques. Then lastly, you may have heard the terms coin struck and medal struck. Coin struck is used when the obverse and the reverse are rotated 180 degrees around the horizontal axis, while with medal struck, both sides are the same way up. So all our modern South African coins are actually medal struck. The famed Burgers Point of 1874 is an example of a South African coin that is coin struck. Now many different types of coins exist as well, each specifically made for a unique purpose and of course all collectible. A pattern coin or trial piece is a coin which has not yet been approved for release but produced for evaluation purposes. They are often off-metal strikes. So for example, the 1934 copper nickel patterns of the Union series were minted from a copper nickel alloy, while the final coins of course were minted in 80% silver. As you could have guessed, many of the world's most valuable coins are pattern coins since they are minted in such limited numbers. Once accepted, a series of proof coins are produced as proof of concept coins. These are produced with highly polished dies and with much greater care. Nowadays, proof coins are produced in greater number for collectors, often nicely presented in a special box or some container. Proof coins are not always more valuable than actual business strikes. It all depends on survival rates and availability. Coins minted for commerce are then of course referred to as circulation coins or business strikes. Sometimes the mint will issue special commemorative coins as business strikes as well, celebrating a leader, a profession, or some kind of event. The 1952 crown and of course the Mandela 5 Rand coins are examples of these. Proof-like is a term used to describe a business strike coin in which all the fields and notably the devices reflect light, very similar to that of an actual proof coin. These coins display that mirror-like finish reminiscent of a proof coin. They are the product of the first strikes of a highly polished die. Then of course you get specimen coins. Now this is a catch-all phrase that describes a coin that does not really fall into any of the aforementioned categories. The single 9 Kruger Pond is an example of such a specimen coin. These are usually very valuable, with the single 9 considered north of 10 million rand in value. Then finally, tokens are associated with coin-like objects that were used instead of coins for trade. Historically, the intrinsic value of a token was worth less than the monetary value it represented. The Strachan tokens and the Union Internment Camp tokens are examples of these. These have very interesting backstories, adding of course to their significance and value. Now, having some knowledge on how to grade a coin yourself can save you from a great deal of regret. Fortunately, coin grading has become standardized on the Sheldon scale, which evaluates coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with the values also associated with an easy-to-remember mnemonic. Grading companies like SANGS, BCGS, and NGC have also standardized on the scale, with the added constraint that some numbers close to the boundaries are skipped, almost like a university professor avoiding a final mark of 49%. Okay, so let's have a look. A 1 or a poor, here just enough detail remains to identify the coin's date and type. The rim might be completely flat. A 2 or a fair, a little bit more detail than a poor, but here the rims of the coin are at least visible. A 3 or a about good, now here the rims of the coin is worn, but the outlines of the design is still visible. Most letters and digits are readable. A 4, which is a good, letters and digits on the peripheral are nearly full. Rims are present, but of course well worn. An 8 or a 10 is regarded as a very good. This is a well-worn coin, but the letters and the digits, while readable, are quite soft. A 12 or a 15 is a fine. Here the deeply recessed areas show slight softness. All the letters and the digits are sharp. A 20, 25, 30 or 35 is known as a very fine. Moderate details with sharp letters and digits. The high areas show the bulk of the wear, with some of the recessed areas unscathed. A 40 or a 45 is an extra fine. Here complete details are present with minor wear on the high areas of the coin. Some traces of mint luster may remain on an XF45. A 50, 53, 55 and a 58 is an about uncirculated coin. Now these coins range from slight wear on about 50% of the coin to only the slightest of wear on the highest points of the design. An AU50 will have some soft areas on the high points of the design, but an AU58 requires full details with only the most minute traces of wear on the high points. Coin luster is evident in varying degrees. From a 60 to a 70, we move into the domain of mint state coins. An MS grade requires that the coin shows absolutely no traces of wear. An MS60 is pretty rare and somewhat of an anomaly. It usually has a very weak or maybe an average strike and has various abrasions, hairlines and contact marks. It may be uncirculated, but it's one nick away from being an UNC details grade. You'll find better looking AU58s out there. From a 61 to a 64, the strike varies from weak to above average, and the number of contact marks and hairlines decreases with the higher grades. halfway to a 70, and MS65 is a well-struck coin with excellent eye appeal. It will contain some marks or hairlines under 5 times magnification, but definitely not anything distracting. From a 66 to a 69, we move into the territory of exceptional coins, and it is uncommon to find all the coins with these grades, especially in softer metals like silver and gold. These coins are all very well struck with impeccable eye appeal and only the smallest of imperfections. Then, of course, lastly, an MS70, which is a perfect coin. It is fully struck with 0 post-production imperfections under 5 times magnification. Okay, so this is a very basic overview of basic numismatic knowledge, but at least it's a start. Read as much as you can. Listen, learn, and converse. A large part of numismatics is knowledge. Point number 2, find your niche. When I started collecting, I started with the old 1 Rand coins of the second decimal series. However, the first coin that truly had me in awe was a 1948 crown. Sometime after this, I bought my first graded Union coin as well, a humble 1945 South African penny. It was at this point that I knew I found my niche, and I have had a soft spot for the Union series of South Africa ever since. I don't know why exactly. Maybe because of the simplicity of the coins or the fact that there's a real king or queen depicted on the obverse. I really don't know, but this is what I want to collect. In the same way, I want to urge you to collect the coins that you like. Just be careful not to overpay. Be patient. Fortunately, there are many niches, and there is also no rule that says you have to collect just one type of coin. If you want to collect as broad as possible, then go for it. Some examples of coin collections that I've seen or read about include the following. Okay, so there's coins from a specific country, a series, a denomination, or even a specific year, or maybe even a combination of these. Some collections are centered around a theme. For example, coins featuring Queen Elizabeth II, or coins depicting various types of wildlife, etc. Now, apart from this, it's also possible to focus on circulation coins, proof coins, or pattern pieces only. And then, who says you have to collect the most perfect coins? In his book, History of the Nickel Coins of South Africa, Francois Malan comically referred to the difficulty he had to obtain second decimal coins in well-worn condition. He continued to challenge collectors to try and collect an ugly, worn second decimal set. Now there's a challenge for you. Now in the same vein, what about a coin collection of the most worthless coins in the world? 1 TN from Uzbekistan is worth about 0.0014 South African cents last time I've checked. Now there's a starting point for you. Can you collect the lowest value coin from as many countries as possible? Shipwreck coins are also very fascinating. These are recovered from various shipwrecks across the world. The effect of salt water plays a key role in the grading and actually adds to the appeal to collect these coins in the first place. Then lastly, ancient coins are typically associated with coins before the end of the Roman Empire. These are incredibly fascinating and varies from a few rands in value to tens of millions. The point I'm trying to make is that numismatics is about finding your niche and enjoying it. Be careful not to run after every coin you find though. If you start hoarding, it gets really difficult to structure your collection after a while and you'll eventually lose interest. Point number 3, budget wisely and patiently. Your budget largely determines the kind of coins that you can buy. If you want to collect for investment as well, then the best advice I can give you is simply this. Buy the best you can afford. I'll illustrate this by means of an example. Let's say you are collecting graded South African Union coins. In other words, colonial coins from 1923 until 1960, like I am. Now, let's say you stumble on an auction with the option to buy a 1923 penny graded NGC MS62 brown. Do you chase after this coin just because you don't have it yet? Well, in my opinion, no. With a bit of research, you'll discover that 663 coins have been graded to date. And an MS62 for a 1923 is the 6th finest known, with several hundred coins better. So in this case, rather hold on and get an MS65 or a MS66. They do come up from time to time, and it will be a much better investment. Having said that though, if the MS62 penny sells for a real bargain, you can argue that you can buy it in order to swap or resell it later. However, this can be dangerous if you don't know your coins well. Quite often, you'll overpay and end up with a coin you cannot sell to get your money back. The same logic applies to raw coins, of course, but here you have to have some knowledge on how to evaluate the quality of the coin yourself. Again, don't buy a poorer coin simply because you are missing it in your collection. Numismatics is not a race. My recommendation is to rather buy one spectacular coin a year than 100 or more common and possibly lower quality coins just to complete your collection. From my experience, the single high-value coin has a far greater potential for growth than the 100 lower quality coins. Be patient. Then again, don't be stingy either. You are collecting coins after all. Using an example out of my own collection, I have a full circulation farthing set, except of course for the ultra-rare 1933, 34 and 36. Now the 1930 farthing is one of the most difficult, with only 6,560 minted. I was very fortunate to obtain this second finest MS63 brown some years ago. Lately, I've seen the same graded coin selling for 3 times the amount I paid for it. This is almost as much as all my other farthings combined. Point number 4. Buy from reputable sources. When you're researching to start a coin collection, take your time to get to know the local dealers well. The top dealers are usually second or third generation collectors themselves with a lifetime of experience and passion. Many of them have built up an intrinsic network and can source almost any coin at a very reasonable price. Buying from reputable dealers and collectors is by far the safest option, and dealers value the business of regular customers. Be very careful when you buy coins from someone the first time. Always research them carefully by asking fellow coin collectors if they know the seller. The community is small enough so that everybody knows one another. Finally, you'll get to a point where you'll be in the position to start selling your extra coins. You cannot easily get scammed as the seller. Never, ever pay an upfront fee to sell your coins. This is always a scam. Build your reputation as a trustworthy seller and you'll get better deals over time as well. Now, I've burnt my fingers with so-called dealers overcharging and lowballing me on coins. This stems from a lack of knowledge, impatience and a generous helping of hubris. Fortunately, there are enough dealers out there that wants to see you grow as a collector as well. Seek them out. They are easy to find. Point number 5. Proper storage and handling. So, you've just bought a few King George V half crowns in uncirculated condition. You had to get a second mortgage on the house, and you had to sell several organs to fund your new collection because, well, they were pretty and you were a bit impatient. And now you store them in a jar, a metal tin or a few PVC envelopes. Because, well, 10 Rand per capsule or 3 Rand per mylar flip is simply too expensive. Do not skimp on proper and safe coin storage. I've done several videos on the proper storage of coins. Familiarize yourself with the dangers of PVC and get a storage mechanism that offers several layers of protection. If you want an album, opt for those that take 2x2 mylar flips. The capsules are pretty decent and offers great protection as well. If you obtain a coin that is particularly well preserved and valuable, consider sending it off for grading at either NGC or SANGS. I'll do a separate video on that process at some point. Another tip that I can give you is to keep those desiccant silica gel packets that you should rather apparently not eat. Keep those with your coins to help absorb any excess moisture. Point number 6. stay organized. Now look who is talking. I'm so guilty of this. How many times have you bought a coin and then when you finally receive it, it's placed among all the piles of papers on your desk? Eventually it gets buried with even more books, papers and e-toll accounts. Eventually you decide to wage war against the entropy, only to discover that you now have 1936 pennies. Oh well. Point is, try to stay organized. Keep a spreadsheet of all the coins you have bought, when you have bought them, and from whom. Maybe what you've paid for, and possibly some notes on the purchase itself. Graded coins have a serial number, which makes them easy to track. And for raw coins, you could possibly quickly take a pic with them with your phone and track it that way. If you collect NGC graded coins, you simply have to add them to your personal registry on the NGC website. It's a completely free service and it's a great way to organize your collection. Another advantage is that if your coin ever gets stolen, you might just get it back if your coin ends up with an honest collector. If you have a competitive edge, you can always see how your collection stacks up against other collectors. NGC gives out yearly rewards and prizes for the best collections. Point number 7, join a community. Now this might come as a shock, but if you don't like interacting with people, then, well, coin collecting might just not be for you. A large part of coin collecting is about sharing information, the bulk of which still resides in the minds and the experience of people. Much of what I know, I learned by talking to others. The vast majority of the coins you will acquire will be through the interaction with another collector or dealer. Rare coins simply do not come from an assembly line. So your best chance to find that rare coin is by letting people know what you're looking for. Chances is that they will contact you when they stumble upon it. Then of course there are coin fairs and other numismatic meetings and get-togethers. The opportunity to strike a bargain and meet new people in the hobby cannot be missed. Joining a community online has never been easier. Several great Facebook groups exist. I'll post some details in the description. It's a must to at least join one of these. Point number 8, happy collecting. What's the point if you're not enjoying it? Make it fun and exciting for yourself. The really great thing about coin collecting is that you can easily take a break when you need to. Coins do pretty well in storage, and if they are stored correctly, the only thing that they will accumulate is value. Remember that it's the journey that's enjoyable. Don't try and rush to complete your collection in record time. What's the fun in that? And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video, even if you're a seasoned collector. Please remember to like, subscribe and comment. I really appreciate the feedback. And as always, happy collecting.